Snow White Disney has returned. Yes, this is no joke, no clickbait. This is the topic that practically all major world publications covering cinematography are actively discussing right now. The thing is that after 83 days of theatrical release, which ended in complete fiasco, the remake from Disney went to streaming platforms, primarily to Disney Plus, where, as they report in the company, it immediately shot to first place in the charts and has been holding confident worldwide leadership for weeks now. Such a turn of events is now being used by the Mouse House publicists to try once again to show everyone that supposedly viewers were not objective and generally wrong when they slammed their film in theaters well, and many publications are already singing odes to. The incredible, misunderstood, unaccepted. But returning again, Rachel Zegler, though just not those connected to Disney, because apparently at the Mouse House, they decided to stay away from their once rising star, like from a leper. Now, let's discuss all the details. Look, the thing is that the film really, after completing its theatrical run, went to the streaming platform Disney Plus, which after the first week reported that the movie confidently took first place there and continues to hold it. And here it should be noted that although this news was picked up by practically all major world media, Disney Plus itself is completely controlled by parent company Disney, so of course reporting global successes is in their common interests. That's first well. And second, unlike Netflix, Disney Plus does not yet share its internal statistics, so we can only take at face value statements that Snow White is crushing everyone on the streaming platform well, or wait for independent analytics from portals like Nielsen and others. On the other hand, if you read truly independent and indeed uninterested analysts, they acknowledge that the surge of interest in Snow White is quite justified. Why, yes, because very many viewers completely ignored the novelty when it was in theaters simply for various reasons, refusing or not wanting to pay their money to watch it. Therefore, ultimately, the box office figures turned out so deplorable and amounted to a pitiful for such a film and such budgets too. $105 million, while the hype around the novelty was still considerable. Everyone discussed scandalous. Rachel Zegler, multiple changes that Disney made to their remake well, and generally constantly appearing newsworthy topics, so naturally, only the lazy didn't hear about this film. And when the movie finally hit Disney's streaming platform, people who didn't want to pay money to watch it are now quite actively watching the film for free. Well, or more precisely, for the cost of their subscription. There's nothing surprising in this, so the temporary surge of interest is quite understandable and justified. Another matter is how Disney publicists are inflating all this, and they must be said worked hard for real, and are already shouting everywhere about how the film got a second birth, about what golden mountains it now brought on streaming, about how finally the masterpiece remake got its due well, and everything of this sort. While what's curious, the powerful PR machine of Disney company apparently completely turned away from Rachel Zegler. Apparently she exhausted everyone there during filming completely, so singing praises to the film itself about the lead actress performer, not a word is said at all, although she herself is trying still as she can with all her might to evoke at least some sympathy and empathy from viewers in multiple interviews, telling how terrible it was for her during filming, how haters bothered, harassed, and almost drove her out of the world. And generally saying that supposedly she at some point began to hate herself, believing what her ill-wishers told her, well, and blah blah blah. Although at the same time, we already noted that at 20-something, getting $3 million for filming in such a film that ultimately brought almost 300 million losses. You can really complain, because very many people won't earn such money in their entire lifetime while working much harder and more exhaustingly. So it's clear that the young actress is now trying as she can, of course, to ride her own hype and cook some her own porridge for future career in cinematography, but apparently she's doing this already without support from Disney company, exclusively, so to speak, by her own efforts and on her own initiative. As for real financial indicators connected to the Snow White film, let me remind that according to analysts' calculations, its budget, together with production, multiple reshoots, and then very expensive and large-scale promotion and advertising, amounted to a colossal sum of $410 million. While the novelty's box office turned out more than meager, the movie managed to collect worldwide only $205 million. And at the same time, it cost Disney company more than $200 million by other calculations. Losses amounted to about $400 million or even $300 million. As for streaming, Disney itself now reports that supposedly on its own and other streaming platforms, they plan to earn from Snow White up to $150 million, thus covering supposedly most of the losses that the film's theatrical release brought. It's unclear, though, where such colossal figures come from. But you see, nobody initiates anyone into details. Also, according to statements from people connected to Disney whose words were published, for example, by Deadline publication, the company counts on almost another $100 million obtained from merchandise. Thus, supposedly, the overall picture is drawn such that almost Snow White should ultimately still bring even some profit. Whether this will happen or not, we don't know yet, but Disney publicists are literally puffing with all their might now, trying to convince absolutely everyone that Snow White's success is simply inevitable, and what happened before is nothing more than a small misunderstanding, no more than that, yes. And generally, Disney apparently is now very inspired by the success of their new film Lilo and Stitch, which is also a remake of the legendary cartoon, and which with a budget of $100 million for production, already earned in worldwide box office more than 800 million green, and I think will ultimately cross the 1 billion bucks mark. So according to the latest reports inside the company, the mood has now changed, which was frankly defeatist, and in case Moana 2026, with Dwayne Johnson in one of the main roles, is also successful at box office, then the company will continue making remakes of their cartoons and probably even unfreeze the currently suspended production of Rapunzel film, which was shut down after Snow White's terrible failure. So Disney has already slightly dusted off and recovered from crazy failures, and now, of course, is trying to convince everyone that everything is good and wonderful with them. And what was nothing more than an absurd misunderstanding. But at the same time, the company apparently still completely decided to refuse any further cooperation and support of Rachel Zegler, because even in numerous laudatory articles published by Disney Close publications, nowhere is it said, supposedly here, finally Rachel was appreciated at her worth or something like that. No, the young actress's name rather is trying to be bypassed as much as possible, as if she wasn't in this film at all, which incidentally fits quite well with those reports that insiders made several months ago, that Disney were simply shocked by cooperation with Rachel Zegler, by how uncontrollable she turned out, and to a certain extent even inadequate, and that the actress is now on the blacklist for the company, so even super progressive Disney doesn't want to have absolutely anything more to do with her, having already played enough of these games. The tip of this iceberg, incidentally, we could observe publicly when the son of Snow White's producer lashed out 2 months ago at Zegler with criticism, telling that her thoughtless and immature behavior cost the film tens of millions of dollars, and that she let down a huge team of people who labored over creating this remake. And apparently this was indeed only a very small fraction of that global negativity that accumulated in the company regarding their once rising star, on whom they placed such huge bets and in whom they invested such huge money. But now you see, the situation has changed. Well, such are the affairs. I await your thoughts on this matter in comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give thumbs up.